outgoing, loving, caring, willing to do whatever he could for anybody. I'm just still shocked.
2 young children are without a father after he was killed when a driver slammed a truck into a crowd of people outside a bar in Golden. The belief that the suspect did this on purpose and the charges he now faces.
We just can't bear the thought of you being gone any longer.
Desperate for answers, a Boulder family pleading for the safe return of their missing daughter, what her parents fear may have happened. And taking shots leads Russell Wilson to getting a shot. Will he get a shot to play next Monday? For joining us here on Denver 7 News at 11, I'm Jason Grenauer. New this morning, the suspected driver responsible for a deadly crash in Golden is facing a judge this morning. That man allegedly slammed his truck into a crowd of people outside a Golden bar, killing one man and injuring several others. Denver 7's Brandon Richard is live outside the courthouse with the very latest. Brandon?
Yeah, the 2 men who Jefferson County deputies arrested in connection to that hit and run, both of them set to make their first court appearances today since their arrest to learn about the possible charges against them. Deputies say that 29-year-old Ruben Marquez was the man behind the wheel of the truck that plowed into that crowd of people outside the Rock Rest Lodge in Golden early Sunday morning after an altercation. Now, 1 person died in that crash, 7 others were injured. We've learned that Marquez was on parole for a 2019 conviction on drug-related charges at the time of this hit and run, and he has a lengthy criminal history going back over a decade in Colorado. He now faces murder charges, and we're still waiting for him to appear in court today. The owner of the truck, Ernesto Avila, appeared in court this morning. He faces accessory charges. Deputies say he was a passenger at the time of the hit and run. The judge set a $100,000 bond for him, and if he bonds out, he must stay away from the witnesses as well as the victims, and he must stay away from the Rock Rest Lodge as well. Again, 1 suspect made an appearance. We're still waiting for the other one to make their appearance this morning. We're live in Golden. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Tensions between Russia and Ukraine are escalating after a new round of Russian strikes hit a Ukrainian city, killing at least 12 people. The strike comes after a blast that damaged a bridge linking a Moscow-controlled region of Ukraine with the Russian mainland. Here's ABC's Justin Finch.
Across Ukraine, a series of withering missile strikes launched by Russian troops, ripping through civilian centers and vital infrastructure during the morning rush hour. This video showing a blast in Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. In that same city, this playground ravaged. Rescuers searching ruins for survivors as parts of Ukraine are now left without power. Officials in Ukraine say Russia's latest attack has left several dead and dozens injured. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling Russian forces terrorists and urging Ukrainians to take shelter as his troops continue their counteroffensive against Russia. Speaking Monday, Russian leader Vladimir Putin confirming the missile strikes were in retaliation for the Saturday bombing of a bridge connecting Russia to the illegally annexed Crimean Peninsula. These before and after satellite images revealing the destruction. Ukraine has not claimed responsibility for that attack. Russia's latest aggression follows Ukraine's successes, retaking territory in the south and east. And President Biden last week cautioning Putin isn't joking when he threatens to use tactical nuclear weapons, saying we have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis. The White House pointing out there's no new intelligence suggesting Moscow is planning an imminent nuclear attack.
What the president was reflecting was that the stakes are high right now, given what's going on the battlefield in Ukraine and given the very irresponsible and reckless comments made by Vladimir Putin.
In his remarks today, President Putin acknowledged he called for those multiple strikes in Ukraine, which also hit several civilian centers, which critics also say could be an admission of war crimes. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
We are now hearing from the parents of a missing Boulder teen who hasn't been seen in more than a week. The last place she was, a high school football game. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta has more on that family's plea for answers.
she didn't have her phone with her, and her friends who saw her at that Boulder High football game told police that they saw two men with her that they didn't recognize and who looked suspicious. Since then, Chloe hasn't had any contact with her family. That football game was the last time anyone saw Chloe. There have been some tips about where she's been, but those have come solely through social media. And to Chloe's friends, here's the thing, none of those messages are confirmed to actually be coming from Chloe herself. We spoke with her family, who told us they wanted to take the time to speak directly to their daughter.
If you can't come home, if someone is preventing you from coming home, I'm speaking to you right now. Whoever you are that's keeping Chloe from coming home, know that we are looking for you and that we are going to find you, and we are never going to stop until Chloe is home safe.
Honey, we love you so much. You are so precious to us. We just can't bear the thought of you being gone any longer.
We asked Boulder Police about this, and they told us they're, quote, growing increasingly concerned, but they said this doesn't meet the criteria to go ahead and issue an Amber Alert for Chloe. Anyone out there who's seen her is being urged to get in contact with Boulder Police. In Boulder, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
All right, let's talk about the weather now here at home in the Mile High City. A beautiful fall day shaping up, lots of sunshine, some mild weather out there. This is a live look from our Lookout Mountain camera. Denver 7 meteorologist Lisa Hidalgo joins us now. And Lisa, we got a fall week on tap.
It is going to be gorgeous. A little extension of what we saw this past weekend, which was pretty perfect. Yesterday, lots of sunshine. Today, same thing. We've got a few building clouds out there, but we're in the mid to upper 60s right now. Extremely mild. 68 degrees, actually our normal high for the day, and we're obviously already seeing that before we even get to 12 o'clock. Beautiful conditions also from this shot at the Civic Center. Just a few building clouds, but upper 60s to even, well, right around 70 near Firestone, Broomfield, Boulder. 50s and 60s in the mountains, so a pretty nice start to our afternoon. Warming up, it looks like this afternoon into the low to mid 70s, so we'll be at right around 75 here in Denver today. We're getting a few building clouds here in the mountains across the plains, though it's going to stay pretty quiet today. A little rain possible tomorrow. We'll talk more about the timing of that coming up.
All right, well, today we are observing Indigenous Peoples Day here in Colorado, a day to honor Native peoples. Our state officially made the change from Columbus Day back in 2020. Now, on CU Boulder's website, it says CU Boulder acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and many other Native American nations. Winter Park's website
thinking about after you've gained this knowledge, what impact you can have, how you can be an ambassador and an ally to Indigenous people.
Now, the White House also released a proclamation saying, in part, we celebrate Indigenous history and our new beginning together, honoring Native Americans for shaping the contours of this country. Well, we know that the pandemic led to more isolation, and many have worsened depression as well. That the pandemic, it worsened depression for many teenagers. Now, the state's latest Kids Count report, which looks at our children's well-being, found that young people in Colorado are dying at higher rates from homicides, drug overdoses, and suicide. Now, when we see these reports, it can be so scary for parents. We spoke to addiction counselor Blake Fleek. He says parents should not be afraid to ask their children if they've considered suicide.
It's important to ask that. It's important to know that you're not going to make it worse by doing that. Now, that doesn't mean you go into accusations or anything like that. You listen. You hear what they have to say.
Now, he also says it's also important to make your home a safe place by removing things like guns or pills that could be abused.
If we can make it as hard as possible and give people enough time as possible to get from I'm having the thought to I'm going to take this action, that's the goal.
That seems to be an important message, that just having the thought isn't necessarily the end. It's there is hope.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And it's not even that uncommon for people to have these thoughts.
About 40% of Colorado high school students surveyed in 2021 reported they had felt so sad or hopeless over the past 2 weeks that they stopped doing usual activities. It's up from 24% in 2013. The percentage of teens reporting they had seriously considered suicide also increased from 14.5% in 2013 to about 17% in 2021. Now, the state has made counseling available for free to young people. Just visit imattercolorado.org. And when it comes to our kids' mental health, Health One, as you see there on the screen, has a new behavioral health and wellness center at Saddle Rock in Aurora. It offers intensive outpatient programs for kids from 9 to 17 years old. Talking about the Broncos now, we are 1 week away from their next matchup. That would be on Monday Night Football, but one of the lingering questions now out there is Russell Wilson going to play in that game? The NFL Network reported over the weekend Wilson played last Thursday's game with a strained muscle near his upper back and shoulder of his throwing arm. He went to LA on Friday to get treatment, an injection. Now, we checked the normal recovery time for a tweak of this kind of a muscle. It's about a month. But nonetheless, Denver 7 Broncos insider Troy Renck was told Wilson is expected to play against the Chargers next Monday. And remember, you can watch the Broncos and Chargers on Monday Night Football right here on Denver 7. Our pregame coverage starts at 5. Kickoff is just after 6. Then catch our postgame show right after. Coming up, the cooler weather is here, and that means one thing. It's time to rake up all your leaves. When and where to get rid of them before the snow starts flying. Plus, with the November election fast approaching, sidewalk improvements are a hot issue for Denver voters. The arguments for and against this ballot measure.